We've all been there, right? That feeling. You want to build a community, and the urge is just to, pick a tool, start inviting people, and just hope it works out.
Oh, absolutely. It's so tempting to jump straight to the action, the engagement tactics.
But what if the really successful communities actually start somewhere else, something deeper?
That's exactly what we found digging into this. We've looked at a whole bunch of insights, articles, experiences,
Yeah.
and the big takeaway, it starts with the foundation.
Foundation, okay.
Yeah, like understanding your why,
Hmm.
doing the research on who your people actually are, really getting what they need before you even touch a tool or plan an event.
Okay, so let's unpack that. The first big idea seems to be this thing called community discovery. What exactly does that mean in practice?
Right. Well, it's not about digging up treasure maps or anything. It's more about the process you go through,
Yep.
the actions you take to, build relationships first, and really research the whole environment, the ecosystem your community will live in.
So understanding the landscape before you build the house.
Exactly. A good way we saw it defined was the processes and actions required to help you build relationships and do ecosystem research
Hmm.
to enable informed and confident community decisions.
Informed and confident decisions. I like that. It's about knowing why you're doing something.
Precisely. It shifts the focus from just guessing or assuming to making choices based on actual understanding. You focus on the who and the why before the how. That gives it staying power.
And it's interesting because, like you said, the first question so many people ask is, what's the best tool? What platform should I use?
Yeah, it's the classic question. But it's kind of like asking a chef, what's the best oven? Before you've even decided if you're baking a cake or roasting a chicken.
Good analogy. So the tools are secondary.
Completely secondary. Community discovery is really about becoming, well, an expert on your people, understanding them, their world. And that knowledge guides everything else, the content, the tools, how you engage.
So why bother with all this upfront effort? What's the actual payoff?
Well, what we found is it really helps create traction. You're much more likely to get things moving if you know what actually connects with people.
Right, it resonates.
Yeah, and it helps create flow, makes it easier for those good interactions to happen naturally, and ultimately, it means you're delivering real value, building real connections, and keeping things, consistent across everything you do for the community.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, building that solid base. And that seems to lead right into the next point, which is about active community research. This isn't just sitting back and watching.
No, definitely not passive.
Hmm.
It's about actively surrounding yourself with the people you think might be part of this community, really engaging with them.
So talking to them, listening in.
Exactly. And the amount of insight you get from that is huge. Just understanding, building trust, spotting opportunities.
Mhm.
It all comes from those conversations.
Every chat is data, in a way.
Pretty much.
Hmm.
Whether you're in the conversation or just, observing it carefully, it deepens your understanding.
Yeah.
But, and this is key, it has to be intentional. You need to surround yourself with the right people, people who align with where you want the community to go. Otherwise, you just get distracted by noise.
Right, you could end up talking to people who aren't really your target audience at all.
Precisely. Focus is critical there.
Okay, so you're listening, you're researching actively.
Right.
How do you translate that into understanding? This is where the power of stories comes in, right?
Yes, and this was a really powerful theme. Stories aren't just anecdotes. They give you the context, the depth,
Hmm.
the understanding you need to figure out what problems actually need solving.
They give you the why behind the beta points, the human side.
Exactly that. If you don't listen to the stories, you risk, building something nobody actually wants or needs. You miss the real pain points.
It seems so obvious, but maybe it's overlooked.
Our sources suggest it often is. People focus on the metrics, the features, but forget the narratives that explain what truly matters to people.
Okay, so understanding people, hearing stories. Now, how does this community thing fit into, say, a larger organization or project? That's the spectrum of community reach idea.
Yeah, this is a useful way to think about it. Imagine community isn't just this isolated department over here,
Right.
but it actually touches or could touch lots of different areas, like
Mhm.
design, marketing, product development, even things like HR or finance potentially. It maps out how community thinking can spread.
And it's not like a checklist you have to tick off. Okay, community now touches marketing. Done.
Yeah, no, definitely not. It's more of a tool for conversation, for analysis. It helps different teams see how they connect to the community, how they can support it, and how community insights can help them. It's about continuous improvement and seeing the connections.
Got it. So thinking about those connections, when you do start thinking about specific places for interaction, like channels or platforms, the next point is about seeing community channels as prototypes.
Right, and having conversations with purpose. This means adopting more of a lean, experimental mindset.
Instead of just launching a big forum and hoping for the best.
Exactly. The key question to ask before you launch anything is, what are we actually going to do with the conversations that happen here?
Ah, so it's not just about creating the space, but having a plan for the output.
Precisely. There's a real danger in setting up, say, a Slack channel or a forum, and then nothing happens with the insights people share. It just sits there. You need to prioritize taking action based on what you learn.
Okay, and there was an example, wasn't there, about quotes?
Yeah, a great little example. Someone intentionally capturing #good quotes shared in their community space, specifically to use them later in a printed newspaper they produced.
That's very specific.
It is, but it shows that intentionality. They knew why they were capturing that data. The conversations weren't just happening, they were being purposefully mined for value.
Which leads nicely into the next point, making sure that value, that data, is actually seen. Visibility of data and easy team integration. Sounds like stuff can get lost easily.
Oh, it's a huge problem. Valuable insights from community chats, feedback, suggestions, they can just disappear into the platform, out of sight, out of mind.
And then people wonder if the community is actually doing anything.
Exactly. Or they miss really important feedback. But if you can surface that data, make it visible.
How?
Well, like pinging relevant comments or threads into a shared space, like a team Slack channel, in real time. Suddenly, the community feels alive to the rest of the team.
Ah, I see. So it's not siloed anymore.
Right. And this idea of a Slack community tracker came up, basically a system that makes it super easy for anyone in the company to see and even jump into relevant community conversations.
What are the benefits of that?
Huge benefits. You can celebrate wins together. Everyone gets a better feel for customer pain points. You spot opportunities faster. It just boils down to making team communication around the community easy and seamless.
Easy access is key. Okay, so data's visible, conversations are purposeful. What about the past, this idea of community memory management?
Yeah, this is about thinking consciously about the history and the artifacts of your community. What's worth preserving? What tells the story of your community's journey?
Like curating a museum almost.
Kind of. The example given was sharing before and after photos of a community project or space. Seeing that evolution visually adds so much meaning and impact.
So it makes you ask questions like, what are our key moments? What assets define us?
Exactly. It's about recognizing that the community's past has value and shouldn't just be lost to time.
Now, this all sounds great, but potentially overwhelming, especially if you're just starting. Which brings us to the minimum viable community, or MVC.
Yes, the MVC. This is such a crucial concept. Think of it like a lean startup approach, but for community.
Start small.
Really small, potentially. The point is that even a small, focused community can have a massive impact. It's sometimes called a community container, something with a limited scope, fewer resources needed.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, so maybe like a 4-week accountability group for a specific goal, or a silent book club chapter that just meets once a month, or even just regular focused Instagram live sessions, or a specific Twitter chat like #EthicalHour was mentioned.
So you don't need the giant platform right away.
Definitely not. As that small group interacts and grows, you figure out what platforms, what content, what engagement works best for them. The focus initially is just on the mission, the connection, the transformation you want to enable, and using what you have.
And it ties into that idea of imperfect action, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Ship it, get something out there, learn, iterate. Don't wait for perfection that might never come.
Okay. Now, events often play a big role in communities. But the next point is a good reminder. Not all events build community.
Such an important distinction. You can run an event, people show up, they leave, and no real community connection was formed.
We've probably all been to those.
Right. So the sources really emphasize learning from both the good and the, well, less than stellar event experiences. What actually makes people feel connected versus just attending.
And what is the key difference, usually?
Often, the truly community-building events are built on top of an existing community. There's already a sense of belonging there before the event even starts.
Ah, so the event enhances the existing connection.
Exactly. And going to lots of different events yourself is a great way to get a feel for what works, what makes you feel like you belong.
Okay, so you're building connections, maybe running small events or MVCs. How do you keep things fresh and relevant over time? This seems to be about the continuous process of collecting resources and staying relevant.
Yeah, this is non-negotiable for long-term health. You have to keep your finger on the pulse. What's happening in your field? What are people talking about? What are their current interests, their challenges?
If you don't, you risk becoming obsolete.
Completely. Both you and the community. So it means actively collecting information.
How? Practically speaking.
Things like actively bookmarking useful stuff, taking notes, intentionally following new people who are doing interesting things, turning insights into action points. And a big one mentioned was using RSS feeds.
RSS. Okay, we'll get to that. But where do you look for this info?
Start with the obvious places, the main communities in your space, key influencers, blogs. But then you need to dig deeper. Niche forums, specific social media groups, even books, speakers, conferences. It's about doing that deeper research most people don't make time for. That gives you an edge.
You mentioned RSS. The next point really doubles down on the power of RSS for efficient information consumption. Why is it so highly rated?
Because it's incredibly efficient. RSS, really simple syndication, lets you pull updates from all sorts of sources directly into one place, your RSS reader.
Instead of checking 20 websites or relying on email?
Exactly. You subscribe to blogs, news sites, specific Substack newsletters, YouTube channels, even podcasts. It cuts through the noise of algorithms and overflowing inboxes. You control what you see.
So it's like creating your own personalized newsfeed without the algorithms deciding what you see.
Precisely. It puts you back in control of your information flow. Super powerful for staying informed efficiently.
Okay, efficiency is great. Now, thinking about the value communities provide, especially professionally, the next point is about adding value through collaboration and shared experiences.
Right. I think recent times especially have made people and businesses rethink community. There's a growing expectation that a professional community, particularly, should offer more than just content.
Like what?
Opportunities to collaborate, to learn together, to share experiences. The idea that the group is stronger, smarter, more capable than any individual member alone.
So it's the synergy of bringing people together.
Exactly. For those professional communities, it's often that blend of great content plus genuine opportunities for connection, relationship building, and knowledge sharing that really provides lasting value.
And how do you create a system where that value keeps generating itself? This sounds like the community culture flywheels idea.
Yeah, think of a flywheel like in mechanics, something that builds momentum. In a community context, it's a set of actions or elements that support and reinforce each other, leading to natural, sustainable growth.
What are the key parts of such a flywheel?
Well, things like fostering a strong sense of belonging, having a clear shared purpose, ensuring mutual respect, and making sure members feel valued or are actively gaining value.
So it creates a positive loop.
Exactly. People get value, so they return. They return, they contribute, which adds more value for others, and the wheel keeps spinning with less and less external pushing needed.
And a big part of that value is just the feeling, right? Which brings us to sentiment and the power of positive experiences.
Absolutely. That positive feeling, belonging, feeling like you're on a journey with others, it massively encourages people to participate and appreciate the community.
Even if you're not super active.
Yeah, even lurkers gain value just by being in that positive environment, seeing the helpful feedback, the connections being made, the advice shared. And importantly, it needs to be a place where people feel safe, sharing both wins and struggles.
The psychological safety.
Crucial. That overall positive sentiment then fuels more conversations, more sharing, both inside the community platform and probably outside it too.
So we've covered a lot of concepts: flywheels, sentiment, research. But what's the bottom line? The next point says community building, not rocket science, but requires commitment and intention.
Yeah, it really tries to demystify it a bit. At its core, it's about human connection. It's about being, a decent, committed person who wants to bring people together.
Not some complex technical formula.
Right. The tech helps, sure, but the foundation is human. It's about commitment over time, being intentional about the culture you want, genuinely caring about the members, being flexible, finding a rhythm, and also accepting that people and communities evolve. Sometimes people outgrow a community, and that's okay.
Okay, so commitment and care are key. How do you actively involve members in shaping the community? That's about empowerment and co-creation, isn't it?
Yes. This is about moving beyond just managing a community to actively empowering its members.
Wow.
By giving them real opportunities, sharing their stories, letting them help shape the environment, looking for those sparks in people and encouraging them, maybe offering chances to speak or write or help organize things.
Yeah. So it becomes their community too, not just yours.
Exactly. It fosters ownership and it leads to amazing personal and professional growth for members.
Hmm.
It does raise questions, though. How hands-on should you be? How do you show respect? How do you co-create effectively? It's a balancing act.
Right. Okay, so for someone listening who wants to start, what are the really practical steps? Studying your people and starting small.
First, really internalize that this is a long game. It needs that deep understanding of who you're serving.
Yeah.
So validate the idea first, do the research.
Don't just assume people want it.
Please don't. And then, even with the big vision, start small. Experiment. Seed ideas. Start conversations. Look for where conversations are already happening. Test things out. And find your authentic angle. How will you stand out and truly embody what the community is about?
Do the homework, then iterate. And once it's going, how do you keep it alive? Sustaining a community. Curation, value, and avoiding autopilot.
Yeah, the autopilot thing is a myth. Communities need constant tending. You need to actively curate and amplify member contributions, maybe through a newsletter or highlights on a homepage or social shout-outs.
Keep showing the value being created.
Yes, and never forget the power of doing things that don't scale, especially early on. Those one-on-one chats, the deep research, building those core relationships. Scaling happens through people, not just through tech.
And when you're interacting, it's not just about pushing your own agenda. It's about mirroring your community and asking powerful questions.
Right. If you're engaging in other online spaces where your people hang out, focus on adding value there, not just constantly trying to pull them back to your space. Be a good citizen of the ecosystem.
And use questions.
Questions are magic. Ask good, open-ended questions to understand what people care about, what they're struggling with, what excites them. Even fun ones like wrong answers only can spark great engagement and reveal insights.
Sometimes the conversation itself is the point, not just the answers.
Often, yes, it creates connection and understanding.
Which really underscores the next point. Community is about conversations, the heart of connection.
Fundamentally, yes. Community building is communication. Email, forums, chat, social media, talks, meetups. It's all conversations. And your content should flow from those conversations, or the ones you want to spark.
Back to understanding your people.
Always back to that. Know their interests, their language, how to build rapport. If you feel like you have too many potential conversation topics, that's probably a good sign. It means there's richness there.
Where do you get ideas for those conversations and content? Sourcing content ideas, listening and observing.
Everywhere. Your own community is source number one, obviously, but also podcasts, social media, news, books, what competitors are doing. Look for successes, recurring questions, problems people face, trends, ideas for teaching something useful.
And then organize those ideas somehow.
Definitely. Use a simple system Notion, Trello, a spreadsheet, whatever works, to capture those sparks and plan how you might turn them into content or activities.
Okay, let's tackle a common assumption. Can you really build community using just email? Building community with email and newsletters. Challenging assumptions.
It's often dismissed, isn't it? Newsletters aren't community. But the sources we looked at argue, yes, you absolutely can build community via email if you're intentional.
Yeah.
Ask questions in your emails. Don't just broadcast. Ask things that foster connection, gather insights, point people to places where they can interact more, like blog comments or a specific social thread.
Make it a two-way street.
Exactly. And, crucially, try to respond personally to replies, even briefly. It builds immense goodwill and embeds that culture of responsiveness. And keep an eye out for people who reply often. They're your potential superfans.
That personal touch again. Now, shifting to paid communities, they seem popular, but also problematic. Challenges of messy and fragmented paid communities.
Yeah, there's definitely growing interest, but the reality can be tricky. Often, founders end up stitching together multiple tools, one for payments, one for the forum, maybe another for events.
And it gets complicated fast.
Super complicated. For the members, it's a fragmented experience. For the founder, it's a headache managing onboarding, trying to get a single view of members, searching across platforms, dealing with tech glitches and different payment systems. It's often not seamless.
Something to be aware of. Now, what if you're not naturally outgoing? Can introverts build communities? Building community as an introvert, finding your own way.
Absolutely, 100%. Community building isn't solely the domain of extroverts. Introverts often have amazing skills in written communication, deep listening, organization, all crucial for community.
So they leverage their strengths differently.
Exactly. You find your own way to connect and lead that feels authentic to you. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room.
And your role isn't just inward facing, right? It's also about finding opportunities for your people, leveraging your network.
Yes, this is such a valuable contribution the community builder can make. By really knowing your members those study notes, again, you can spot chances to connect them with roles, gigs, or other opportunities that fit their skills and goals.
Like being a connector or a talent scout within the community.
Kind of. Giving someone their first speaking gig or recommending them for a project that has a huge lasting impact. And it's a great way to actively foster diversity by seeking out and promoting different voices.
That's really powerful. Okay, here's a slightly unusual idea. Lurk as a service and the value of observation. What's this about?
Haha. Yeah, it's an interesting framing. Basically, it's leveraging your skill at observing community dynamics and turning that into a service.
So you offer feedback based on your observations.
Exactly. Maybe providing feedback on community health, suggesting content ideas based on what you see people discussing, offering specific industry or tool expertise, setting up news radars for clients, maybe even offering unlimited Q&A or reviewing metrics and policies. It's about packaging your observation skills.
Turning observation into insight as a service. Interesting. And thinking longer term, what about preserving knowledge? Why create a community digital garden? Cultivating long-term value.
Right, so much online conversation is ephemeral, it just disappears. A digital garden is about intentionally creating a lasting, searchable resource for your community's niche.
Like a wiki or knowledge base, but maybe more organic?
Sort of. It aims to become the go-to place for information in that specific area. It takes effort, curation's hard, but the long-term value of having that shared, growing knowledge base can be immense.
Okay, let's talk about core values. Kindness as a scalable foundation of community culture. Some might say kindness doesn't scale.
That's the pushback you sometimes hear. But the sources we looked at strongly disagree. Kindness can scale if you intentionally bake it into the culture from day one.
How do you bake it in?
Through consistent small actions, thoughtful language, uplifting others, acknowledging different viewpoints, showing appreciation, pausing before reacting. It's not about grand gestures, but consistent small acts of consideration that create the overall environment. You don't do it for immediate ROI. You do it because it's the foundation.
And fundamental to understanding your community is the art of asking questions. We touched on this, but it's worth revisiting.
Absolutely central. You need to be constantly learning. What do people need to learn? What do they want to share? What discussions are missing? When someone asks a question, it's a prompt. Why are they asking this? Do I know the answer? Does the community need this info more broadly?
So the community builder is also a question spotter.
A key part of the role, yes.
Yeah.
Identifying the questions that need asking to spark thought or fill gaps.
Now, many communities form around products, product-led communities, different types and intentions.
Yes, this is a big area. We're seeing communities built to support a company's users, helping them connect and giving feedback.
Yeah.
We've seen developer communities focused on empowering people who build with the product, and communities just built around shared interest in a product.
3 different flavors.
Right. But the absolute first step, no matter the type, is defining the why. Is it a genuine desire to connect people and provide value, or is it seen as a marketing channel? The intention has to be right.
That intention matters. And it connects to branding and community, reflecting core values.
Totally. Your community is a reflection of your brand. The experience people have there directly impacts how they feel about your company or product. So if your brand promises, say, simplicity and ease of use, your community platform and interactions better reflect that.
Consistency is key. Switching back to practicalities for paid communities, the reality of paid community tools, integration challenges.
We mentioned the fragmentation. Services like Memberful, Gumroad, ConvertKit handle the payment membership side, but making them talk smoothly to your actual community platform like Circle, Discourse, Slack, etc. can still be really complex. It's often not a simple plug-and-play situation.
Good to know. Okay, here's a provocative one. Community is dead. Long live community. An evolving landscape.
Yeah. It reflects the constant flux. Things change, platforms rise and fall, trends shift, but the core human need for connection persists. The hope expressed here is that maybe you're moving towards more authentic engagement beyond just the rush to monetize everything. The landscape is evolving.
And within that landscape, structure helps. Rituals as a foundation of community marketing, providing consistency.
Rituals are powerful. Weekly check-ins, monthly themes, annual events, they provide a predictable rhythm that people can rely on.
Takes the guesswork out for members.
Exactly. Once a ritual is established, it takes less effort to promote. People just know what happens. It builds natural traction and becomes part of the community's heartbeat.
Now, what about the quiet members? Understanding lurkers, designing for passive engagement.
It's crucial not to just focus on the noisy people. Why do people lurk? Maybe the content is just interesting to follow. Maybe they need time to feel comfortable. Maybe they consume the info and discuss it elsewhere.
So don't pressure them.
Right. Think about how to make the community valuable even for those who don't post often. Can they easily find information? Do they feel welcome even if they're quiet? Design with lurkers in mind.
To help structure all this thinking, there are frameworks. Key community frameworks, social identity cycle, and community canvas.
Yeah, a couple were highlighted. The social identity cycle looks at how people identify with, participate in, and get validation from a community, strengthening their connection. The community canvas is a practical tool, like a business model canvas, but for community, helping you map out all the key elements: purpose, members, activities, rules, etc.
Useful planning tools, and before you even use those, some essential questions before starting a community.
Yes, fundamental sanity checks.
Mm-hmm.
Are there existing communities doing this? Could you join or support them instead? What makes your idea different? Do you truly believe in the mission? How will you provide value and belonging? Are you personally committed for the long haul?
Tough questions, but necessary. And finally, a reminder about tech. No tool is perfect, focusing on value over technology.
So important. The tool will never be the sole reason for success or failure. Think about a great dinner party. It's about the food, the people, the conversation, not just the brand of oven used.
Many great communities started simply.
Email lists, basic forums. Focus on the human elements first. See the tool as an enabler, not a magic bullet, and work with its strengths.
Okay, let's bring some of these threads together with the final points. Trust, investment, and empowerment. Lessons from fandom.
Fandoms offer great lessons. They thrive on trust, deep investment, time, energy, emotion, and empowering members to contribute and co-create. It's about building relationships, showing up, being kind, and letting people be part of something bigger.
And maintaining that awareness through cultivating a note-taking mindset for community growth.
Just always be observing, always be learning. Note down insights, opportunities to help someone, connections to make, needs that aren't being met. It's a continuous discovery process.
Which fuels starting and inspiring meaningful conversations.
Because that's where community happens. Good conversations are relevant, respectful, inclusive, curious, clear, and ideally lead somewhere. Action, understanding, connection. It's a skill to nurture.
And ensure new members feel welcome with onboarding with purpose, focusing on member goals.
Connect the dots for them. Why are they here? What do they hope to achieve? Make the onboarding process clearly tied to delivering that value and transformation.
For concrete ideas, there's the massive list. 200 plus minimum viable community ideas, MVC. A starting point for experimentation?
It just reinforces. Start small, experiment. An MVC could be a newsletter, a meetup, a hashtag, a shared doc. Focus on relationships, understanding, trust, and culture first. It's less risky and outcome-focused.
And remember, marketing through community, amplifying stories and engagement.
Community can be a marketing powerhouse. The Etsy craft party example showed global reach with minimal resources, driven by the community. And those member transformation stories are gold for marketing.
Crucial distinction, calling community the new marketing, a disrespectful misunderstanding.
Yes, community brings marketing benefits like awareness and leads, but it's fundamentally not marketing. It's about human connection and support. They should collaborate, yes, but community isn't just a tactic.
Got it. Then there's designing community rhythms, building sustainable habits.
Back to rituals. Start simple. Build rhythms that fit members' lives. Match the activities to their interests and bandwidth. Sustainable habits are key.
And understanding the community creator economy, leveraging participatory culture.
This highlights creators who rely on participation, not just content consumption. Think of fandom as a verb. It requires doing things. Setting up spaces like Discord with clear roles and activities encourages that shift from audience to community.
Aiming for real bonds, beyond parasocial relationships, fostering true connection.
Platform relationships can be fragile. Focus on building genuine mutual connections. Those who invest in real relationships will likely thrive as platforms change. Start with intention.
Which requires the importance of intention and trust in community building.
You can't force it. Spamming invites doesn't work. You need prior knowledge, trust, and good intentions. Don't just barge in.
Develop the skill of spotting what matters, combining observation and vision.
See what's having an impact by mixing member feedback with your overall community direction and research. Actively look for opportunities for the community and its members.
And value community experience as valuable data, recognizing contributions.
People's participation is data. It shows skills, interest, commitment. Knowing their contributions are seen and can lead to opportunities encourages more engagement. We often learn most by doing interacting, debating, writing within the community.
Driven by curiosity drives community conversations and decisions.
Curiosity is the engine. It leads to connection, understanding, and better decisions based on what you learn from conversations across the ecosystem.
Maybe try community pairing as a strategy. Collaborative action.
Simple idea. Bring two people together to work on something. Even if only they do it, it's a win. Others joining is a bonus. Focused collaboration.
And always refining community flywheels in action, designing for momentum.
Design activities that naturally build on each other. Creating momentum requires clear vision, listening, feedback, and seeing how things connect.
Communities need change, adapting and evolving your community, adding, adjusting, removing.
Be willing to tweak things. Add new features, adjust what's not working, remove what's obsolete. Stay flexible, like with the MVC.
Which all comes back to community discovery revisited, the foundation for effective action.
Keep doing it. It ensures you're aligned, finding insights, focusing on outcomes, guiding experiments. It leads to knowing what to talk about, what matters, what's needed, what excites people.
Look outward too. Tactical approaches to ecosystem learning.
Map your ecosystem. Understand the players, the trends, the relevant fragments outside your immediate community. Keep learning about that wider world.
Move beyond conversations. Action and outcomes as key.
Conversations are research. Use them to drive action. Meet needs. Don't just talk, do. Understand the ecosystem through talk, then make decisions for your community's place within it.
Consider building in community versus building in public, the power of trust.
Building in public can be more like audience building. Building in community implies more trust, psychological safety, allowing for deeper, more vulnerable support and feedback.
Avoid becoming static, moving beyond bulletin boards, fostering valuable engagement.
Don't let it become just self-promo and unanswered questions. Create shared experiences. Move beyond purely transactional stuff.
And check your motives, the importance of giving and investing in your community.
Why build it if you're not willing to give? To invest in the members. Community investment should be valued alongside marketing and sales.
Learn from specific challenges, insights from a community discussion, blending online and offline.
The Discord in-person meeting example showed the need to question assumptions, the MOM test, define value clearly for each channel, and focus on outcomes, not just talk.
Think small, reimagining interaction, micro-interactions, and blurring boundaries.
Lines are blurring. Communities built on countless small interactions. How can we design these better?
Explore models like community of practice, learning and sharing together.
Great for shared learning and skill development. Groups learning together through interaction. Lots of resources available on this.
Broaden your inputs, asking questions across your ecosystem, broadening insights.
Ask similar questions in your community and in the wider industry, on social media, at events. Gather diverse perspectives.
Be flexible, rethinking community membership, flexibility and touch points.
Maybe membership isn't just a static list, but activated by certain actions or touch points. A more fluid idea.
Define your space.
Yep.
Finding your niche. Differentiation and value proposition.
Why you? What makes your community different and desirable? Be clear on that.
Test the waters. Experimenting with membership pricing, a form of validation.
Pricing is flexible. Even charging a small amount can validate that people see value.
Learn from others. Examples of community offerings and business models.
Look at how places like Wandering Aimfully, Small Bets, Starter Story operate different models, tools, offerings.
Consider expert help. The benefits of a fractional chief community officer, FCCO.
Cost-effective expertise, flexibility, objective viewpoint compared to a full-time hire.
Enable members. Co-creation in community. Practical ideas.
Spot ideas, understand behaviors, connect people, provide frameworks, support community-led projects.
Learn from experience. Lessons learned. Platform testing and strategic friction.
Test platforms thoroughly. And consider strategic friction. Making certain benefits feel earned can increase perceived value.
Study specific cases. The Trends Pro community model. Focus on solo entrepreneurs.
They offer reports, stand-ups, intros, masterminds on Circle Meetsy. Subscription model. Learn the value of strategic friction in membership.
Embrace the ethos. Community as a mindset of care and contribution.
It's about humanity, giving back, good intentions, helping, storytelling, progress over chatter, supporting the ecosystem, investing wisely. You can have this mindset even without a dedicated community space.
Ensure clarity for members. The importance of value and contribution and community participation.
Members need to know why they're there and feel their voice matters. Avoid repetition. Ensure they feel they can add value.
Articulate your values. Love language statements for communities. Defining your approach.
Write down why you care, why you exist, how you work, make decisions, boundaries, aspirations. Helps communication, trust, and fit.
Use guiding practical principles for community building and management.
Don't get attached to ideas. Iterate small. Listen, explore, raise issues, connect to business goals, seek clarity, manage community debt, define standards, guide teams, value glue work.
Measure what matters. Measuring glossary success. Beyond page views.
Is it helpful? Does it aid understanding, not just clicks? Pay attention to language. Add terms organically.
Integrate fully. Community at the heart of the business. An ideal scenario.
Central, collaborative, integrated into culture. A community executive officer mindset.
Rethink metrics. The paradox of engagement. Quality over quantity.
High engagement isn't always good. Lower engagement with meaningful action can be better. The wrong conversations drain energy.
Simplify the core. Community, care. The core focus.
Care for people. Alignment on vision, care for the ecosystem. That's the essence.
Value the role. Community work is multidisciplinary, beyond fluffy tasks.
It involves strategy, analysis, communication, tech, empathy. Use job titles that reflect the real work and impact.
Embrace complexity. Deeper dive into community research. Accepting the mess.
Discovery, data, research are key. Tools aren't magic. Accept some messiness, but be intentional about it.
Ensure usability. After capturing comes searching. Intentional data use.
Capture data with a purpose and a way to find and use it later. Otherwise, why capture it?
Look ahead. Community knowledge management, CKM, as a future trend.
Managing collective knowledge effectively seems increasingly important.
Broaden your view of talk, understanding community conversations, beyond verbal exchange.
Conversations happen everywhere, many formats. They're discovery, trust building, contributions, flywheels, change agents, purposeful.
Find balance, the 80-20 conversation rule, balancing talk and action.
Community is maybe 20% talk, 80% other things. Focus goals on outcomes, use talk to get there. Worry less about constant chatter, more about meaningful action. What's the other 80%? Content, resources, events, connections.
See concrete examples of community initiatives beyond conversations.
Ministry testing has badges, Mastodon talks, memories, collections, branding, profiles, collaborations, challenges, trends reports, user finders, event support, email growth, courses, partners, swag, tiers, newsletters, glossary, star program. Lots beyond just forum posts.
Be aware of the impact of platform changes on communities. Meta example.
Platform decisions, like Meta on fact-checking, can destabilize communities, raise trust issues, impact moderation. External forces matter.
Recognize the expertise of community professionals, understanding the system.
They become experts on their specific community system. This means confidence in learning, doing discovery, studying, knowing who to talk to, collaborating, asking good questions, fostering care, focusing on progress, being solution-oriented.
Frame value carefully. Beyond free versus paid. Communicating value and mission.
Don't get stuck on free versus paid. Focus on the value created, the mission, encouraging engagement and offering things people will pay for. Membership, products, resources.
Use internal awareness tools, the Slack tracker, a tool for real-time community awareness.
An internal feed of community activity. Gives a real-time sense, involves the team, allows quick reactions, tracks the journey. Use keywords to spot trends.
Be intentional internally. Creating your own community algorithm, intentional decision-making.
Develop internal guidelines, processes for making community-led decisions consistently, models to help make better choices.
Manage data wisely. Continuous community data strategies. Quality, ethics, trust, curation.
Need ongoing strategies. Focus on quality, human review, ethics, trust, curation, art plus science, structure for humans and AI, integration, continuous updates.
Maintain independence, reclaiming independence, beyond social media reliance.
Logging, RSS, value independent curation. Avoid the social media hamster wheel. Find balance. Use social for insights that don't depend solely on it.
Treat people well. The importance of respecting your community. Duolingo example.
Duolingo faced backlash over perceived disrespect. Unpaid support reliance, AI announcements. Respect history, contributions. Don't make people feel ignored.
Know the tool landscape, a recent history of community analytics tools, a challenging landscape.
Many analytics CRM tools have shut down or pivoted. It's a tough market. Suggesting finding the perfect all-in-one tool is hard.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into building communities, it's really clear, isn't it? Success isn't just about grabbing the newest tool or trying the latest engagement hack.
Not at all. It really starts with that intention, doing the homework, the research, to genuinely understand the people you want to bring together.
Right.
Recognizing that connection comes first.
We covered so much today, but for me, a few things really stick out, like the power of listening to actual stories, seeing how community can reach across an entire organization, and that idea of starting small, the minimum viable community. Those feel like really actionable starting points.
Absolutely. And I think the big aha moment really is that shift in mindset,
Hmm.
moving away from just chasing engagement numbers.
Right.
There's a long-term view, focusing on creating real value, fostering those genuine connections. That core idea that community is care, it sums up the commitment needed, I think.
So for you listening right now, maybe take a moment, think about your own community plans or what you're already doing. What's the real intention behind it? How well do you actually know the people involved?
Yeah. Maybe try digging into that community discovery process we talked about, or brainstorm a small MVC, a minimum viable community, just to test an idea without huge risk.
And looking ahead, while community is always changing, technology keeps evolving
Yeah.
how we connect.
Definitely. So maybe a final thought to leave you with. In this digital world that keeps getting more, well, digital, how do we make sure our communities really prioritize authentic relationships, that shared purpose, over just, quick transactions or chasing